yesterday game was horrendous, bro. I mean, it was bad. I mean, this one might be one for the ages, bro. I can't even lie. The referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. I mean, they got their issue off in a major way, bro. I mean, there was countless of times I could literally look at the screen and know.
What if the WNBA's most unstoppable scorer isn't rocking sneakers at all, but a whistle that can swing 32 trips to the line in a single night? Because when the New York Liberty faced the Indiana Fever on June 17th, the Stripes turned the hardwood into their personal stage, sending New York to the stripe 32 times, while Indy crawled there just 15. Fans didn't see a basketball game. They watched a live-streamed heist. If a single whistle can rewrite a scoreboard, the real question isn't whether the Fever lost a game. It's whether the WNBA is about to lose its credibility.
So, lads, today the referees gave the report on the situation, and it's even worse. It's even worse than I imagined, and it was pretty grim. Like, it was a pretty grim overall. It was a pretty grim overall.
Watching the WNBA and seeing how things are run, seeing how things are done, and after you've seen what it looks like to get it right, and you come in and see something looking really wrong, you're going to call it out. It is what it is. You're going to be critical of players. If they do something shady or classless, you're going to call that out.
The night the whistle went nuclear, it began as a sellout Saturday in Indianapolis. Frantic drumline, kids waving homemade Clark for 3 signs, that electric promise of a marquee matchup. 10 minutes later, Gainbridge Fieldhouse sounded more like a courtroom than an arena, with each sharp tweet of a whistle sentencing Indiana to another uphill battle. By halftime, the New York Liberty had marched to the stripe 18 times, the Fever just 6. Scoreboards tell you points. The free throw column told you everything about who actually controlled the game. The oddest part? Despite the lopsided whistles, Indiana led by a dozen midway through the fourth. Their momentum felt bulletproof until the officiating avalanche began. With 14 seconds left, Caitlin Clark knifed into the lane and slipped a bounce pass to DeWanna Bonner. A forearm slammed Bonner's wrist so loudly, the lower bowl gasped in unison, and the referees stared straight through it as if the rules had been scribbled in invisible ink. One possession later, Lexi Hull fought over a screen, grazed Sabrina Ionescu's shoulder, and bam! 2 free throws that put New York in front for good. The feverish booing was instantaneous. Fans draped in red and navy hurled mock whistles onto the concourse trash cans. At a downtown sports bar, the TV commentary was muted so patrons could debate the missed calls frame by frame, each angle replayed like a forensic investigation. On social media, hashtags calling to fix the whistle rocketed past movie trailer drops and NFL trade rumors within an hour. When someone spliced together a 90-second montage of Clark absorbing hits with no calls, the clip cleared 2 million views before sunrise. Inside the post-game press conference, Coach Stephanie White, clipboard still trembling, called the no call on Bonner egregious and added a line that echoed across group chats all night. "We're not asking for favors, we're asking for oxygen." Clark iced a welt on her cheek while choosing diplomacy, but her stat line, 10 turnovers tied to endless body blows, spoke louder than any quote. Aaliyah Boston caught the gist with a rueful laugh. 5 on 8 out there tonight, even neutral broadcasters broke character. During the highlight package, an analyst rewound Bonner's hacked layup and deadpanned. If that isn't a foul, gravity's questionable. Viewers at home could almost hear the producers scrambling for a PG synonym for highway robbery. Yet the real detonation wasn't a single whistle. It was the pattern those whistles suggested. Casual fans who tuned in for Clark's rookie magic instead met an officiating circus that felt choreographed to humble the league's new cash cow. Conspiracy? Maybe not. Credibility crisis? Absolutely. Each phantom foul, each swallowed call chipped away at the W's claim to parity and professionalism. And here's the kicker. Indiana still nearly stole the win. Clark drove for one last shot. Natasha Cloud raked her forearm and silence reigned once more. White's clipboard launched skyward. Clark stared at the nearest referee, stunned, as if waiting for an apology that never arrived. In the tunnel, a staffer muttered what everyone now feared. The league wanted a spotlight. Now the glare is exposing every wrinkle. Because once millions comb through a game frame by frame, excuses evaporate faster than Gatorade on a locker room floor. By sunrise, the box score wasn't the only thing under scrutiny, so was every frame of contact the officials waved off. Dedicated fans froze the broadcast over and over, cataloging each hit like forensic analysts. The list grew fast. First came J.C. Sheldon's open hand swipe. Caitlin Clark drives left, Sheldon reaches and knuckles rake across Clark's eye. Clark's head jerks, her arms flail to protect her face, but play continues as though nothing happened. Moments later, Marina Mabrey shoulders Clark at midcourt. Clark staggers, regains balance, even threads a pass to the corner, only to be whistled for traveling. The audience sees Clark absorbing far more force than she's exerting, yet the foul goes the other way. Then there's the baseline scramble with DeWanna Bonner. Natasha Cloud collides with Bonner's shooting arm hard enough that the slap echoes over the crowd noise. Bonner's layup misses badly, and still the referees sprint downcourt. On the next possession, a brush of Lexi Hull's fingers sends a Liberty shooter to the line. As the evening wore on, more plays surfaced. Elbows sneaking through screens, hip checks that flattened cutters, wrists bent backward in plain view, and still the whistle favored the other side. Each no call reinforced a pattern fans could recite by heart. Hard contact on Indiana? Play on. Minimal contact the other way? Free throws. The cumulative effect was psychological as much as physical. Clark's body language shifted from fiery to wary, as if expecting pain with every possession. Aaliyah Boston's post moves grew tentative, hands raised to officials before she even landed from a jump hook. On the bench, Sophie Cunningham muttered into a towel, knowing retaliation would only draw another technical. Meanwhile, the conversation beyond the arena grew sharper. Commentators debated whether the league's part-time officials could keep pace with a faster, more physical game. Analysts pulled foul rate numbers and discovered the Fever trailing the league by double-digit trips to the stripe. Even neutral observers began asking the same question. Is the whistle rewarding defense or deciding outcomes? With each disputed sequence, confidence in the officiating slipped another notch. It wasn't one whistle. It was the steady drip of missed calls that slowly eroded faith in a fair contest. By the time the final horn sounded, the scoreboard felt secondary. What mattered was the widening gap between what fans saw and what the officials sanctioned. An invisible fault line threatening to crack the league's newfound momentum. It took one press conference microphone to turn simmering anger into open rebellion. Stephanie White walked in, face tight, voice level, and dropped 9 words that detonated across the league. Everybody's getting better, except the people with the whistles. Instant silence, then a wave of questions she had no intention of dodging. She listed body checks, eye swipes, and phantom travels like a prosecutor entering evidence. By the time she finished, reporters were scribbling so fast their pens squeaked. White's frustration wasn't a one-night burst. For weeks, she'd watched Caitlin Clark pop up with fresh bruises, Aaliyah Boston absorb forearm shivers, and Sophie Cunningham sit after retaliating for a shove no one called. She'd filed the official complaints, sent the highlight reels, waited for answers that never came. Saturday's no call on DeWanna Bonner was the breaking point. White decided that if the league wouldn't protect her players, she'd force the conversation herself. Fines be deep. The shock? Rival coaches nodded instead of smirking. Becky Hammond had already warned that unchecked head contact was one concussion away from disaster. Cheryl Reeves spent an entire timeout shouting, "Consistency," until her voice cracked. Even soft-spoken Sydney Johnson, usually a diplomat, picked up a technical for stepping onto the court to protest an invisible foul. In a league where coaches guard secrets like bank codes, they were suddenly finishing each other's sentences. Privately, they compared foul rate charts and saw the same slope. Free throws plunging for aggressive offenses, whistle counts spiking on ticky-tack bumps. The pattern crossed conference lines, roster talent, even playoff projections. It wasn't about favoritism. It was about unpredictability. How do you game plan when Tuesday's legal screen becomes Thursday's flagrant? Players noticed the mood shift immediately. Locker room chatter flipped from scouting reports to, "What's the ref crew tonight?" Veteran guards advised rookies to keep an extra ice pack handy. A few stars started budgeting technicals into their mental game plan. One loud protest is worth it if it buys us a real whistle. White hated that mindset. It proved her point that survival now required theatrics. Back-channel texts flew between coaches the night White spoke out. Ideas surfaced. A joint statement before the Commissioner's Cup. A sideline silent protest where every coach stays seated until the first obvious miss. Even a coordinated refusal to submit game film for officiating grades. Nothing concrete yet, But the groundwork is there, and the league office feels the rumble. White's closing salvo still echoes. We're not asking for favors. We're asking for oxygen. It landed because every coach, every player, and most of the paying crowd know what suffocation looks like on the court. The next foul discrepancy, the next awkward post-game shrug, could be the spark that unites 14 benches into one Verillic uprising. Picture a high-speed train running on wooden wheels. That's the WNBA's officiating model. Just 35 referees handle the entire calendar, each juggling NCAA games, side jobs, and red-eye flights. They're expected to master pro-level speed on Tuesday, then whistle a totally different college rule set on Thursday. Consistency? It never even boards the plane. Follow the money first. A rookie WNBA ref earns less per night than the average bench player makes in a single quarter. Mid-tier officials scrape together enough to cover rent only by working year-round across 3 leagues. The truly elite whistles? They leap to the NBA the moment a 6-figure contract appears. What's left for the summer circuit is a patchwork crew still learning nuances on live television. Training sounds rigorous. On paper, there's a digital grading portal, color-coded scorecards, and a once-a-year clinic. But without full-time pay, refs study film in airport lounges and watch fitness tutorials on hotel Wi-Fi. The NBA can afford in-person mentorship and a 24/7 replay bunker. The W runs Zoom calls over patchy connections. No surprise a legal screen on Friday becomes a flagrant Sunday afternoon. Then there's the cognitive overload. College basketball allows more hand-checking. The G League tweaks the shot clock reset. The W emphasizes freedom of movement. Officials sprint between these worlds, muscle memory scrambled. By tip-off, they're juggling 3 rulebooks, gambling their whistle on instinct instead of ironclad recall. Every unpredictable call you see on TV, it started in that mental blender. Accountability exists, but in the shadows. Blow too many pivotal calls and you lose playoff assignments, maybe a small bonus. Yet fans never see a suspension notice. Players never hear a public explanation. Without transparency, every miss feels like bias, not human error. Trust erodes, speculation thrives, and the cycle spins faster. Why the clock is ticking. Next season's billion-dollar media deal demands pristine broadcasts, not memeable controversies. Owners who once balked at full-time salaries now face a starker math. Spend a few million upgrading whistles or risk hundreds of millions in tarnished brand value when sponsors see chaos. Fixes are obvious. Professionalize pay, build a replay hub, lock refs into one rulebook, but they require leadership and a real budget. Until then, the league is racing a sports entertainment boom on wheels built for a bygone era. And if those wheels splinter under the spotlight, no amount of highlight reel dunks will keep new fans on board. The morning after Stephanie White's press room detonation, a fan in Indianapolis typed 6 words that would snowball into a movement. No refs, no tickets, no view. Within hours, that comment stood atop a swelling online petition demanding 3 things: full-time officials, public grading reports, and an immediate review of the Fever Liberty game. By nightfall, signatures climbed past 40,000, faster than last year's All-Star fan vote. But outrage didn't stay online. A downtown sports bar, famous for streaming every Fever game, taped a handwritten sign over its TVs, paused until the whistle makes sense. Patrons ordered wings, left the screens dark, and spent 4 quarters swapping stories of uncalled hacks and eye swipes. Across town, a local print shop ran out of red whistle decals after supporters plastered them on car bumpers, laptop lids, even arena seats. Players felt the climate shift too. In locker rooms league-wide, phones pinged with texts. Are we sitting next game? Veteran stars, usually cautious, began hinting at a coordinated statement. One veteran forward quipped to reporters, "We've iced more bruises than jumpers this month. Doesn't feel like progress." Rookies, meanwhile, whispered about setting aside a portion of their modest salaries in case a work stoppage actually happened. The Players Association moved quickly, circulating an internal survey on officiating and safety. Almost every response checked the same box: not confident. Union reps drafted a memo warning the league that inconsistent whistles could trigger collective action if a roadmap to reform wasn't published before the Commissioner's Cup. The memo leaked within minutes. Sponsors suddenly had midnight phone calls to league headquarters. Momentum kept building because every new game brought fresh fuel. A borderline flagrant in Phoenix? Petition spike. A lopsided free throw count in Minnesota? Hashtag surge. Fans who had never watched a full WNBA season now tuned in for one reason: to see if the whistles would implode again. And every time they did, boycott chatter grew louder. Owners couldn't ignore the math. ticket resale prices in 2 fever road markets dipped nearly 20%. A regional broadcaster reported its highest mute rate ever recorded during a live sports telecast, viewers silencing commentary to rant on second screens. Meanwhile, merch sales after controversial games slumped, suggesting sentiment was sliding from passionate to poisoned. The league finds itself staring at a loaded hourglass. Fix officiating fast, and the fan surge that Caitlin Clark ignited solidifies into a loyal base. Let the boycott drumbeat grow, and the same surge might stampede straight out of the turnstiles. No flashy marketing campaign can drown out a crowd that simply refuses to show up, and the pressure isn't only from the outside. Players have circled a date. If transparent reforms aren't announced before the Midsummer Showcase, the union's executive board is prepared to call for a one-game sit-out, something unprecedented in the WNBA era. A single night without star power during the league's hottest ratings run would scream louder than any trending hashtag. The countdown is public, the demands are clear, and the next whistle, fair or foul, could decide whether fans storm back to their seats or lock the doors behind them. So what happens when a league that's never been hotter suddenly finds itself ice cold on credibility? Simple. Everyone with a decision-making badge jumps on a surprise video call, faces tight, cameras muted, searching for a fix that won't torch the budget or the brand. 5 ideas hit the screen, each one promising salvation, and each one carrying a price tag that makes owners flinch. Option 1, rent a ref from the NBA. Fly in the best whistles money can buy. Instant respect on national nights, right? Sure, if you can swallow the fee. One appearance from an NBA crew costs more than a WNBA trio makes in a month. Smaller market owners call it hiring Beyoncé to sing backup. Option 2, full-time officials, the gold standard. Year-round salaries, benefits, relocation support, the works. Price? North of $3 million a season. For big franchises, that's a marketing line item. For half the league, it's payroll surgery. But without full-timers, training stays scattershot, turnover stays brutal, and every whistle is a roll of the dice. Option 3, a 24/7 replay center. Think mission control for fouls, high-speed cameras, redundant fiber lines, tech crews on standby. It corrects howlers in 30 seconds flat, but hardware alone hits 7 figures, and broadcasters worry extra reviews will balloon commercial breaks. Option 4, the coach's challenge. Cheap, quick, and risky. 1 flag per bench to overturn a blatant miss. It adds transparency, but coaches fear weaponized timeouts, refs hate public reversals, and networks dread games bleeding past their time slots. Option 5, do nothing. Cost 0. Consequence limitless. Because every new phantom foul is a meme in 10 seconds flat. Sponsors track sentiment graphs. They're already seeing them dip. One more viral clip and a primetime advertiser could yank a mid-season buy. Here's the math owners really care about. Spend millions now or risk losing tens of millions later. Next summer's record-breaking media deal comes with performance clauses and sponsor escape hatches labeled integrity risk. Blow credibility, and the cash evaporates faster than a fast break. The conference call ends with no vote. Decision punted to the next owners' meeting. Exactly the delay fans predicted. Exactly the delay players warned against. And the countdown to the Commissioner's Cup keeps ticking. Every second without a plan scrapes away another layer of trust. Record crowds. Jerseys gone in hours. A media deal bigger than every contract in league history stacked together. On paper, the WNBA is flying, but every time a phantom whistle replaces a highlight, that rocket trembles. Opening weekend drew 3.1 million viewers, the highest ever. 5 weeks later, slow-motion foul compilations outclicked official game recaps. Sponsors like noise, not negativity. One more viral no-call, and the hottest partnership on the ledger moves to a clause called review. Lawyers speak for pulling the ad if the circus continues. Players feel the contradiction on their skin. Caitlin Clark sells out arenas, then leaves with fingerprint bruises that never hit the box score. Aaliyah Boston owns the paint, yet wonders whether the next forearm to her spine earns a whistle or a shrug. When superstars question fairness, casual fans question why bother. Coaches have already boiled it down. We're not asking for favors, we're asking for oxygen. If the league spends pennies on officiating and loses dollars on trust, the growth graph doesn't just flatten, it free falls. A single hashtag, fix the whistle, pushes a first-time viewer away faster than any dunk can pull them back. This is the line in the hardwood. Choose a headline now this season. Headline 1, WNBA's golden era begins. Headline 2, whistle crisis torpedoes boom. The margin is razor thin. A clean 2 minutes at crunch time calms critics and cashes checks. One more eye swipe with no call and boycott chatter roars back louder than any sold-out arena. Because growth without credibility isn't growth, it's inflation. Air that rushes in fast and escapes faster. Plug the whistle leak today, and the league locks in a decade of prosperity. Ignore it, and every upcoming game becomes an audition to prove the sport is real, the scoreboard honest, and the stars safe to shine. So as the season races toward its climax, ask yourself, will the story belong to the players or to the whistle? Basketball lives or dies on trust. A clean steal should stay clean. A shoulder to the jaw should earn a whistle. The scoreboard should reflect talent, not theater. Right now, that trust is wobbling with every phantom foul and every swallowed call. The league's future hangs on a simple choice. Treat officiating like a cost center and risk turning every highlight into a courtroom exhibit. Or invest in credibility and let the players be talent carry the spotlight they've already earned. Caitlin Clark's buzzer beaters, Aaliyah Boston's footwork, Sabrina Ionescu's range, those are the reasons new fans tune in. Lose faith in the whistle, and the surge of interest that took decades to build can vanish in one season. There is still time. Adopt full-time refs, launch a replay hub, publish accuracy reports, show players their safety matters, show fans their cheers are not wasted, show sponsors their investment is protected. Do it now, and the story of the season becomes a turning point for women's sports. Delay, and the narrative shifts to a cautionary tale of momentum squandered. When the final buzzer sounds, only one headline will stick. Either the WNBA proved its integrity under pressure, or it let uncertainty decide the outcome. The next whistle will tell us which headline wins. The ball is in the league's hands. Blow the whistle right,